name is Aubrey, and today I'm doing my May wrap-up. I have 5 books to talk about today, so let's just get right into it. The first thing that I will briefly touch on is Fullmetal Alchemist volumes 4, 5, and 6. I really enjoyed these. I feel like this is kind of where, not necessarily where the story kicks off, but we get so much information in this. There is a character death in volume 4 that really sets the tone for the rest of the series. In volume 6, we get a look into the brothers' background and story and kind of where they came from, their trauma, all of that. And it was just so good. I am absolutely loving these. I gave all of these 5 stars. I am so excited to continue next month. Yeah, these are just really great. If you haven't read Fullmetal Alchemist or watched the show, I haven't seen Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, but I did watch the original show. It's just excellent. It's just so good. Yeah, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil anything, but good. So good. Next, I want to talk about Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. This is kind of a sci-fi romance meets like political thriller almost. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was super sweet. This is about Prince Kiem and diplomat Seanan, who are sort of forced into this political marriage for a galactic alliance. There's kind of this thread of mystery going because Seanan's former husband was killed in an accident, but we're not so sure that it was really an accident. And there's just a lot to sort of uncover about the relationships and the world and the political maneuvering and all of that stuff. And I just really enjoyed it. I thought the romance was like really wholesome and nice to see. This is a male-male romance, by the way. I don't know if I said that. So this was just super nice. I will say that I don't know if there is enough I don't know if there's enough romance for the romance readers or enough sci-fi for the sci-fi readers. For me, it was like a perfect blend of the two, but I think if you are super into romance, this may not have enough of that for you. And if you're super into like sci-fi plot, this may not have enough of that for you either. It felt pretty 50-50 to me. So yeah, I think if you're going into this book looking for one or the other, you might be unhappy with it. But for me, I was happy with the blend of the two. I was happy with both. I thought it was really great. And I enjoyed the romance and I enjoyed the mystery and the characters and the world building and just, yeah, I liked it. I thought it was really good. Next, I read In an Absent Dream by Seanan McGuire. This is number 4 in the Wayward Children series. I really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed this one a lot more than I enjoyed Beneath the Sugar Sky. I thought that the first half, maybe even the first 2/3, were so good and so intriguing, and I was like super invested in the story and the atmosphere and the characters. I just thought it was really cool. This one is a prequel, and we are visiting the Goblin Market, following a character that we met in Every Heart a Doorway. This was a 5-star book that ended up being 4 stars. If that makes sense. Like, it was sort of a 5-star book right up until the end. For me, things just fell apart a little bit. The ending felt strangely rushed, and there were just some questions that I still had. There were some aspects of the world building that as we went on, I got more confused about. So for example, in the Goblin Market, you have to give equal value for everything that you purchase. There is no currency necessarily, no money that is exchanging hands or anything. You just give equal value for anything that you want in the Goblin Market. And this seems to be like anything from seashells to like time that you would give in for labor, you know, that kind of thing. Pencils, like it can kind of be anything. It just has to be equal to whatever you're trying to purchase. You're not supposed to like directly ask for anything. You are supposed to kind of sidestep your questions almost so that you don't end up inviting someone else to take more from you than what you were offering. I don't know if I'm explaining that well. I'm probably not. So, for example, if you wanted to buy a loaf of bread, you wouldn't say how much for the loaf of bread. You would say what would be fair value for the bread, or you would just simply say a statement like, I would like some bread, and then they would come at you with like what the fair value for that would be. And so something that gets revealed later, which I don't think is really a spoiler, it's just kind of a world building aspect, but it gets explained later in the book. But we get told, so the reason you're not supposed to, again, ask the question is because you don't want someone to take advantage of you and ask for more than fair value. But then it gets explained that fair value is determined by the market itself. Like the goblin market is kind of this almost magical kind of, not sentient, but it's sort of this overseeing power. So if you don't end up giving fair value, you get punished. And the market itself kind of decides what fair value is or isn't. I guess what I ultimately didn't end up understanding is like, well, why would anybody even try to take advantage of you? Because wouldn't they then ultimately be the ones that end up getting punished? I don't know. Some of that got a little bit confusing to me. And then again, the ending felt rushed and a little bit out of character, but it was still a really good read and I did really enjoy it. I am still looking forward to the rest of the books in the series. Again, I really love the atmosphere and the writing in these books. I feel like I've talked about these so much, but they're good. And I am still enjoying them. So next I have Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This was a reread for me. I finished my reread of the Grisha trilogy last month, 2 months ago. God, what is time even? But I finished those recently in preparation for the show, of course, and Rule of Wolves, which came out in the same month, I think. And so it's been a couple of years since I read this. I never read Crooked Kingdom. I haven't read King of Scars or Rule of Wolves. So I'm kind of making my way through the rest of the Grishaverse and I'm really enjoying my time doing that. I like this world a lot. I love Leigh Bardugo's writing and just like the atmosphere that she puts into her books I find really enjoyable. I will say the first time I ever read Six of Crows, I really struggled with it. I think I DNF'd this book like 3 or 4 times before I finally just made myself finish it. It has a slow start. And the thing about this book is that people always talk about it like it's this super fast-paced heist novel, but like the heist doesn't start until almost the 300-page mark. And this is like a almost, just shy of 500-page book. So there's a lot of character introductions. There's a lot of just kind of like setup and scheming, but not things like happening. I remember just really struggling with that the first time because I didn't care about the characters yet, right? Like, this book is a 5-perspective novel. And so, within that first 300 pages, like we're having to split all of that time between 5 different perspectives. And like, it takes a while, right? It takes a while to get to know the characters and like them. It takes a while for any of the plot to start. It's actually a pretty slow book. That being said, I enjoyed my reread of it a lot more because I had already read it, and so I was attached to the characters like from page 1, and also I think watching the show really helped because especially for Jesper, I felt so much more attached to these characters again from page 1 because the first time it takes a little while. It takes a while to get their backstories and their trauma and just like those things that make you feel connected to a character. Like it takes a while to get to that stuff. I enjoyed my reread, but I am sticking with my 4-star rating of this, which is what I gave it the first time. I think it's a really good book, and definitely by the end I was flipping pages and just really, really engrossed with it. But I think it has pacing issues. Like I think it has problems. So, but overall a really enjoyable read. I'm excited to get to Crooked Kingdom. I started it last night. Yeah. And then the last book that I have to talk about is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. I feel really bad because I think I said in my May TBR I had already started this, and I think in that video I said that this was like a 5-star read. And yeah, at the beginning it was, but by the end of it, it was not. I think that's for a few reasons, but my biggest reason is I hate the main character. Rin is one of the most frustrating main characters in a book that I have ever read, and I just find it hard to find any redeeming qualities about her at all. She's just so annoying. And for me, it's not even that she's like not a good person, because yeah, I mean, everything in the Poppy War and the Dragon Republic, the things that she does, you know, she's not a good person. But I think, you know, I think ultimately R.F. Kuang is trying to make the point that, like, you can't be a good person in war. Nobody's a good person. Nobody's a hero. That's not the issue that I have with her. For me, in my reading experience, it's that she is just, like, completely contradictory. She's hypocritical, and she's oblivious to it. She doesn't see it at all, ever. And I listened to this on audio, and so I'm going to give you a couple of examples from memory because, like I said, I listened to it on audio, and so I don't have any like page numbers to read these to you. I'm going to be, you know, as vague as possible so that there are no spoilers, but if you're like super duper extra sensitive to spoilers, you may not want to watch this part. But like I said, I'm going to be very, very vague. I'm not going to use any names other than Rin, and I'm just going to kind of give you a couple of examples of what I'm talking about when I say that she's just so inconsistent. There were a couple of times in the book where she says how much she enjoys being, I'm gonna call him a commander, this commander's tool, to be his weapon, because it feels good to just have somebody to tell you what to do, because then you don't have to think and you don't have to make those decisions yourself, and then nothing can be your fault. She says this like a few times, that she just wants someone to tell her what to do, because then nothing can be her fault. But then on like multiple other occasions, she gets really uppity when other characters tell her that she is this commander's dog or this commander's puppet. She says, you know, I'm not a dog, like I'm not a puppet. But like, yeah, you are, Rin. Yeah, you super duper are, and you have said that that's like what you want to be on multiple occasions. And like, she, you know, just doesn't sort of see that irony. There is an instance where a friend is confiding in her about their trauma and about their pain, and her response to them is basically like, whatever, you're not special, everyone has trauma, everyone has pain, suck it up. And then in the very next chapter, I'm pretty sure it was the very next chapter, she has a parallel conversation with someone else where she's trying to defend her trauma and she's trying to defend her pain, and the other person's response is, you're not special, everyone has trauma, everybody's dealing with pain, like, suck it up. And again, just like, not like, no, she doesn't register it. She doesn't see the parallel. Just absolutely no sort of internal reflection on that whatsoever. No dawning realizations, no, like, nothing. It's just like... And then the last one that really stood out to me was that she does a really bad thing at the end of the Poppy War, like a real bad thing. And the emotional and traumatic repercussions of that she is dealing with for, no joke, like a third of the beginning of this book. She's on drugs and getting drunk and just kind of all over the place trying to drown out this horrible thing that she did. And part of her wanting to be this commander's tool is that she doesn't want to feel that guilt of the bad things that she's doing in this war, and she doesn't want to feel like things are her fault because she did this really horrible thing that was like totally her fault, and she can't cope with it. And you know, again, a third of this book, we are dealing with the emotional repercussions of that thing that she did. And at the end, towards the end of this book, she's asked by someone, if you could do it again, would you? And she says, yes, and I would laugh. Like, it's the I would laugh part for me, because like, okay, yes, I would do it again because even though it was bad, ultimately I still stand by my decision, or I still feel like it was the right thing to do, or like, I don't know. But like I would still do it and laugh. No, you wouldn't. Like, you didn't laugh the first time. Like, why would you be laughing now? So many pages, so many pages of trauma and guilt, and you would laugh? Like, I find her infuriating. I just find her infuriating. And I think part of the issue for me is that I can't tell if it's like on purpose or not. I can't tell if like she's this inconsistent hypocrite for any reason, because again, she is our only protagonist. It is only her head and her thoughts that we're in, and so we get no nods like from the author, say through a different perspective or someone else's eyes or anything. Like any kind of nod from the author to make me feel like I'm not completely crazy. Because, you know, again, these are just a few examples from my memory of listening to it. Like I'm sure if I was taking notes, I would have found a lot more, but like to me, it pulls me out of the story. It makes me so frustrated and annoyed because I'm like, no, Rin, just a couple of chapters ago, you said this other thing and you felt this other way. And like, I remember that. So you can't tell me that you didn't feel that way or that didn't happen. Like it's annoying. It's so annoying. And again, I can't tell if it's on purpose or not. And I think I would feel a little bit better if it felt like it was on purpose, right? There was some sort of like some other character to maybe say, hey, Rin, you're being awfully hypocritical right now. And her being like, no, I'm not. I mean, I don't know. But then I would at least feel better because then it's like, it's on purpose. She's supposed to be frustrating. She's supposed to be annoying because, you know, again, like she's not supposed to be a good person. Like I've picked up on that. I can get that that's very deliberate. So yeah, that's my biggest frustration with the Poppy War series so far. It's Rin, and it is just, I can't separate my feelings about her from the books because she's the only protagonist that we get. I said in my TBR that I will be continuing with the series. There are a few side characters that I'm invested in and I want to know what happens to them. And I do ultimately want to know what happens, even if it's frustrating. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of where I am with the series. I wish I loved it the way that so many other people love it. I wish I saw what they saw. I'm giving it a 3.5 because I gave the Poppy War 3 stars and I liked this a little bit better than the Poppy War, so I felt like it deserved a 3.5, but enjoyment-wise, I just cannot give it any higher than that because I was tearing my hair out. I was just... All right, that is it for my May wrap-up. Please let me know what your favorite book was in May. I'm always looking for more books to add to my never-ending TBR. So if you have any recommendations for me, please let me know. I hope you are doing well. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more from me. I hope to see you next time. Bye.